When a game that's supposedly been in development for a decade finally releases, people expect the highest level of quality and a near perfect release because their expectations are so high, especially when the CEO of the company has come out and boasted about how this is a quadruple A video game release, but Skull and Bones is hilariously getting absolutely panned by users. I have a few things to show off, but before we get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, follow me on social media, and consider supporting through Patreon or via YouTube memberships. Now, there was initially a lot of hype behind Skull and Bones. A lot of people were very hopeful that it was actually going to be a decent release, but now we can see that it's just another awful release because Skull and Bones is seemingly failing to impress players as it's hit with overwhelmingly negative reviews on Metacritic. At the time of writing, it sits at a 2.8 out of 10 on PC, and it isn't faring much better on console. Right now, as I'm putting up this video, it is sitting at a 3.0, so it's gone slightly up, but even a 3.0 is in the disaster zone. That's not a good score to have for a game that cost them hundreds of millions of dollars that they were just boasting about how it's a quadruple A video game release. It's also being unfavorably compared to Assassin's Creed Black Flag, as many feel that Skull and Bones isn't much of an improvement. People are even saying that they prefer Assassin's Creed Black Flag, suggesting that Skull and Bones doesn't quite live up to the game it was born from. And even without directly comparing it to Black Flag, other players have found Skull and Bones offerings disappointing. In another thread, players complain about the shipboarding mechanics, or lack thereof, since we don't have an actual boarding that takes place. I mean, this is such a disappointing release because not only did people expect this to be an amazing experience and for it to basically be a newer version of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, but it misses a ton of important features and, of course, the monetization behind this game and the fact that it is a live service title have not sat well with people. And it says, of course, we don't know how the game has performed in terms of sales right now, so we only have the chatter online to go off of, and it could go either way with it having more than 10 years of hype behind it, but being brought down by initial disappointment and criticism of its $70 price tag, and of course, the CEO recently saying it was a quadruple A game, which of course was absurd. People were absolutely roasting them recently over saying that. But yeah, I mean, even the critics were not the biggest fans of this game. A 64 is not awful, but it's also still not great, but users are so disappointed with this title. I am getting sick and tired of seeing games that have years and years and years of hype behind them end up being major disappointments. And this is not going to be a game that's going to have a Cyberpunk behind it, right? Cyberpunk had been hyped up for so many years, and I completely understand that. And they went on to fix the game up and make it a really good experience. But that game, Cyberpunk, at its core had a lot of really good mechanics and gameplay. It had a lot going for it, and Skull and Bones just does not. It's like a lazy, rushed out product. Maybe they ended up restarting development, but it does not matter because at the end of the day, they still hyped this game up for over a decade, and people had the highest of expectations for it, and then you went and gave us a $70 mediocre live service experience. That's just not what people are going to be okay with at the end of the day, and they should have known that, but it's like they didn't care because they knew that it was going to sell simply because of the years of hype behind it. As you can see, it's sitting at a 20% positive, 9% mixed, and 71% negative over on Metacritic. Many people are really underwhelmed with this experience, and it will be interesting to see how much more these scores actually tank, because the more people who buy it, the more people who are leaving really bad reviews for it, because the more they're disappointed with it. But right now, Skull and Bones is a complete and utter nightmare for Ubisoft so far, because it is being hit with overwhelmingly negative player reviews. But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.